Hey everybody, John Skiba here from the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel, and in this video today I'm going to talk about some of the differences in approaches and strategies to debt settlement, and specifically talking about the pros and cons of offering a lump sum type settlement where you're offering a lump sum of cash payable fairly quickly as opposed to a payment plan over time. But if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, please click subscribe, check on that little bell. That way you'll be notified each and every week when I put out new videos that'll help you deal with serious debt problems. All right, let's talk about debt settlement. So this is the process where you're offering some amount less than it is what the creditor is seeking. And, often it kind of breaks down into two different approaches where you can offer a lump sum where you're paying them some lump sum of cash fairly quickly to get the settlement taking place, as opposed to a payment plan over time. I want to talk about kind of some of the strategies and things you need to consider when determining which type of settlement you're going to offer. So let's talk about lump sum first. When you offer a lump sum settlement, the first thing obviously is you have to have a lump sum. That's the biggest barrier for most people, is most of us don't have a lot of cash sitting around, particularly if this is a large amount of debt that you're paying off. You typically need to have somewhere between 20 and 50% of the total amount that they're seeking in a lump sum if you're going to be able to get a deal done. Now, one of the benefits of a lump sum settlement is often the creditor will take quite a bit less if you can get the money to them fairly quickly. Fairly quickly is usually within 2 weeks to 30 days if you can make some type of payment to the creditor to get them off your back. The biggest advantage is really just the reduced amount that you're going to have to pay, rather than a payment plan where they're going to want something probably closer to the full balance. So if you can do a lump sum, you're going to get it done more quickly. You're going to get these people in your rearview mirror. You're going to get your credit cleaned up quite a bit more quickly, because they're going to have the payment that they're seeking, and that way they can show that the debt is now settled and they can zero that out on your credit report. So it'll take it out of active collections, and you're likely to see a jump in your credit score in a much quicker fashion than if you're paying this out over time. So like I said, the biggest obstacle is you usually have to have a lump sum to be able to negotiate. Now, one thing I do tell people, even if you don't have a lump sum right now, but it's something you think you could put together in 30 or 90 days, it's still a good idea to operate and to submit a settlement offer thinking lump sum type strategy to it, because most creditors will view any type of payments that you're making within a 1 to 3 month period. They're kind of treating that like a lump sum because it's coming to them relatively quickly. Now let's talk about that compared to a settlement option where you're doing it over time, where you're offering monthly payments. Now, usually they're going to require a higher amount if you're going to do it over time. The reason is, there's a chance that you're not going to follow through on it, that there's some additional risk there. But if you're unable to do a lump sum and you want to offer some type of payment plan over time, you can still do that, but it's probably you're going to end up paying somewhere between 80 and 90% of the total balance. Now, the important thing is when you go to the creditor with a payment plan option, you need to go with a specific plan. Tell them what you can afford. If you can afford $100 a month and you need to pay this thing off over 48 months, go to them and tell the creditor that. Don't let them try to dictate what the payment plan is going to be. The worst thing you can do is put together a payment plan that's destined to fail because there's just no way you can fulfill the terms of that payment plan, because the creditor is the one who's trying to impose it. So before you call them, before you submit anything, sit down, look at your budget, try to figure out what's realistic that you can afford, and then offer that payment plan over time. Now, it's got to be realistic not only for you, but for them. You can't go to them and say, I'm going to pay $20 a month on a $10,000 debt. They're not going to agree to that. They're going to want it paid off sooner than that. One thing I can tell you that's kind of interesting is I've been doing this a long time. I'm an attorney in the state of Arizona. I do bankruptcy law. I do debt settlement. I also do defense as far as debt collection lawsuits. Something I've seen in the recent past, in the last 6 to 12 months, is a lot of these law firms and the creditors collection type people, they're preferring the payment plan, even long-term payment plan, over a lump sum. And the idea being that if they can get a bunch of these accounts, and they typically have thousands of accounts, tens of thousands of accounts that they're trying to collect on, if they can get all of those, in a monthly payment plan, they're going to get a larger amount, a higher amount over time. And even though it takes them a little bit longer to get the money, they're going to get a larger amount overall. And so I've seen them take that approach recently, where many of them are preferring the payment plan over the lump sum, because I've offered on behalf of clients lump sums that I think normally they would take, and they come back to me with a higher amount that they're seeking and stretching it out over 3 to 4 years to receive payment. So just kind of a recap, the benefits to the lump sum payment is you're going to get it done more quickly. It's going to generally be cheaper with most creditors creditors, if you can get them something, they're going to have it be done more quickly. As opposed to the payment plan, you're going to end up paying a higher amount. It's going to take longer, but then you don't have to come up with the lump sum. That's going to be the biggest benefit. If you don't have the money to offer that, is something you're going to be able to do over time. Now, here's something to be aware of. If you've been sued by a creditor, if the lawsuit's already been initiated, but a judgment hasn't been entered, you can do the payment plan over time, but they're likely going to require something called a stipulated judgment. This is where you sign off on the judgment against you, but contained within that judgment are payment terms where you're able to pay it out over time. Just to be aware that they're going to tell you that they need that. That's pretty standard. It really protects the creditor from having to try to reinitiate a lawsuit, or if it's near the expiration of the statute of limitations, they're going to be worried about the lawsuit being dismissed while you're making payments. So while it's not perfect, it is, you can sign off on that as a way to be able to get the account settled and get the lawsuit dealt with in a more efficient manner. If you are in the state of Arizona and you have a debt issue you want to deal with, whether it's bankruptcy, debt collection lawsuits, or debt settlement like we're talking about here, I'd be happy to talk to you. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is below. Hey, if you're not in the state of Arizona, I do have some tutorials, some links. I can't help you as far as actual legal services go, but I have some information in the notes below that can help you as well. Thanks for watching today.